Hello, my name is Eric HESS. I want to talk today about some of the cultural and custom differences between the United States and Malaysia. For the last several years, I have lived in Malaysia about 5 months out of the year, and I have learned from experience that it is wise when traveling to a foreign country to do some research of the culture and customs, as to not insult the residents of the country, nor embarrass yourself once you get there. During the talk, I will discuss the different cultural comparisons and contrasts as to how women dress in Malaysia compared to the United States, the Malaysian custom pertaining to their eating habits, a different custom as simple as shaking hands, the custom of never using your finger to point, and never ever using your foot to point towards something. Before I go into the main points of my talk, I want to inform the audience about the people that make up the 28 million population of Malaysia. According to Charles Perchman in 1987, the main races of Malaysia are Malay, Chinese, Indian, European, and or European descent, such as me. Also, according to a report done by the United States State Department, International Religious Freedom Report, 2006, Malaysia is 60% Muslim, so religion will at times dictate the culture and customs of not only how people act, but also how they would dress in Malaysia. Now let me get into the main topics of my speech, by starting with a subject that would possibly cause many young American women to sit up and take notice, to the contrasting differences as to how Muslim women and young girls dress in Malaysia in comparison to women that are of other faiths in America. I must note that there are some aspects that compare between the two countries. Since Malaysia is 60% Muslim, religion somewhat dictates as to how women will dress in public. It is very common to see women, including teenage girls, to not only have their hair completely covered, but also their entire body. The headscarf that the women wear is called a hijab, which will cover their hair, neck, and bosoms. The showing of too much skin is a big no-no in Malaysia, for not only young girls, but also all women. So being covered is the norm there for Muslim women. Many women and young girls will still wear their tight-fitting jeans along with their high heels. And let us not forget one of the most important things that all women worry about to no ends in many countries. Yes, their makeup. So in the aspect of tight jeans, high heels, and makeup, the two countries do have some similar comparisons. I do want to elaborate for just a second that it is not compulsory in Malaysia to dress this way. But it is not only very common to see Muslim women dress in this manner, it is the trend. The next topic I would like to discuss is one reason many people go to Malaysia, and that's the food. I also want to mention one big difference between American eating habits and Malaysian eating habits. No silverware. In Malaysia, most meals are eaten with your fingers. You can find this information by going to MalaysiaTrulyAsia.com, Malaysia Gestures and Customs. I will go into the eating habits a little bit later. The cultural aspect of Malaysian food are a vast mixture of the primary races living in the country. Malay, Chinese, Indian, European, and once again European descent such as me. In America, our typical dinner will consist of meat and potatoes, along with vegetable and bread. But since wheat is not grown in Asia, it is supplemented with rice. The main Malay diet consists of rice, seafood, chicken, beef, and noodles. A typical Malay dinner will consist of rice, either seafood or meat, and steamed or stir-fried vegetables. For a typical American breakfast, we will have eggs, potatoes, meat, and toast. But in Malaysia, the typical breakfast will consist of rice and noodles. My favorite breakfast while staying in Malaysia is an Indian breakfast consisting of flat bread called roti canai, along with dal, which is a chipped peas gravy. The bread, roti canai, is prepared on a hot grill and is approximately 1 inch thick. It is brought to the table on a normal-sized dinner plate. The dal is put into a small bowl similar to a cereal bowl and served along with the roti canai. When you're ready to eat, using your fingers, you tear the bread into bite-sized portions, pick up a piece, dip it into the dal, and you eat it. There will be some vegetables and maybe, if you're lucky, a couple chunks of potatoes in the dal. So to get them, you grab a bigger piece of roti, make it so you can pinch it in with your fingers. Then you go into the bowl and you go after the vegetables and the potatoes. You just kind of pinch it out there. Yes, this may sound strange, but when in Malaysia, do as the Malaysians. Since Malaysian food is a mixture of Malay, Chinese, and Indian being my favorite, by the way, and along with what they call Western food, McDonald's, Burger King, Pizza Hut, and Domino's, yes, they have them all there, to name a few, the mixture of spices and ingredients are sure to satisfy your taste buds, and you shouldn't go hungry. The next topic I'd like to discuss is something that goes along with food. Is the topic that it is the way it is eaten. As mentioned earlier, I will now elaborate as to the contrasting differences between Malaysian and the United States as to how we eat our meals. In America, we will sit down and have a fork and a spoon on the table for eating. Whereas in Malaysia, the average meal is eaten with one's fingers using the right hand. You can see from my description on how I eat my breakfast each morning that it is not a hard thing to do. At first it takes a little to get used to, but after a few meals it comes to feel natural. In fact, when I get back to the United States, I have to rethink my own eating habits to an American way. Another custom difference between the two countries is the way we greet each other and shake hands. In America, we consider it appropriate to give a firm handshake to someone we meet. This shows respect to the person from ourselves. In Malaysia, it's tradition to greet someone with a handshake similar to ours. But if greeting a close friend or relative, you will shake hands by gently holding both their hands in yours and then bring your hands up to your chest. That's called a salam. The reason you bring it up to your chest is you greet them from your heart. For the last custom I want to discuss, a lot different than any other American custom. This has to do with a simple thing called pointing. In America, if someone asks you where something is at, we use our first finger and point towards the direction it is located. In Malaysia, it would be considered as rude to point with your finger. Malaysians will point using their thumb, and never, ever use your foot to point towards something while in Malaysia. This is really considered a serious insult, so you point with your thumb. Now, in conclusion, I'd like to restate the contrast and comparisons of what we have covered concerning the main topics. I hope that everyone has gained a little knowledge into how women dress because of their religious beliefs in Malaysia compared to America, the different types of contrasts and comparisons of food and the Malaysian eating habits, the contrasting differences between the United States and the Malaysian custom of handshakes and pointing, and I hope that if and when you ever get a chance to come see me in Malaysia, my little talk today will be of some assistance to you in adapting to their culture and customs. Thank you very much. And don't forget, never point with your finger. Let's see. Which way did they go? They went that way. No, I think they went over that way. No, I know. They're back there. That's where they're at. Thank you.